Alright, welcome back to the shop on a nice chilly Saturday afternoon. So what are we doing today? Today we're masking off for the white. So you can see I got the green all shot. I got the mask all off, and everything that's left is going to be black or gold. So now I'm gonna mask it off to be able to shoot the white. I've already done one wing off camera. I'm going to do this one here. And get to the fuselage. My plan is to get to shoot white today at some point. It's almost 40 degrees, so not too bad. Almost okay painting weather. So I got some tin foil out to cover the majority of the green, and what I'm doing is taping to. There's a black line here that's masked. I'm taping to the masked line. So overall pretty good so far. I did have a couple of spots that pulled up. And all those pulled up spots, I can tell you exactly what it was. Anytime you're using automotive type paint or requires a mechanical bond, the surface has to be absolutely spotless clean. And I must have had some dust in a couple spots where it pulled up. And another spot is where I didn't have, luckily on the bottom for once. Usually these things happen to me on the top. But one of them was on the bottom of the outboard wing where the fiberglass, I must have missed where the fiberglass didn't have great adherence, and it actually pulled up some of the glass. But the good news is in the spot where it gets painted white, so I was able to make the repair. And now we're good to go. So now that you got to make sure you get all Alright, so what I'm using is I like this frog tape. The light tack stuff, it works pretty good. I'm also using 3M tape, which I have here somewhere. 1/4 inch 3M precision masking. I get it from Amazon. And I find this to work pretty good, this stuff. So like I said, now we're just masking for all of the white lines. Alright, so the other thing is, sometimes you got paint edges and stuff. You can use a credit card or gift card. But what I found, that I'll actually take a razor blade, and what I do is I de-sharpen it, I'll call it. I run it on my grinder and get rid of it. So no sharp edge, and I can use that to knock down lines very carefully. I find that to work a little bit better on certain paints. So it's just a little trick, but you have to de-sharpen, otherwise you will dig right into the paint. Alright, and what I like about this frog tape is, like, if I have a line like this, I can take my scalpel and just lightly score it. And it peels it back. So this is probably the most tedious time you'll spend on a model. If you have a paint job where it requires to mask off stuff. But I will tell you, take your time and make sure you get it right, because overspray is a pain to deal with. So if you can get it right and get no overspray on it, that's really makes it come out that much nicer. Alright, so that's pretty good. It's nice with the tin foil, you can kind of tear it to shape. can even fold it back if you need to, if it's too long in some spots. Or the other thing you can even do, I push it down here on the mask, and I take a pair of scissors, not a good pair. And I found the cheaper the tinfoil, the better it works. So you don't need to buy good tinfoil here. And just watch if you have rough edges, because you just don't want to tear up the paint job. Alright. So what I'll do on this side, I'm just going to tack this piece down here. And I'll finish up the other side. Alright, so I need the real fine lines. I'll use the 1/4 inch tape. So this is white here, so what I'll do is I could also use the negative of the mask to do this, but the challenge with that is it requires me to use up a lot more masking paper, you know, and I can tape it just as good. So I do when I cut this here, I cut it right about in the middle of the trailing edge. I'll just lay the knife down and cut it, because they're on an angle, so you end up with an angle here. That's how I get the angle in it. If they're straight down, it doesn't matter where you cut them. All right. All the green is covered here. That's gold, yep. Oh, there's ours right there. Okay. Alright, now that I need somewhat, not large areas, but areas that are where you're not gonna go use so I'll use, like I said, this stuff is pretty low tack. So one of the other things you can do too is you can stick it to like your sweatshirt that takes more stickiness away, but this stuff is pretty low tack to begin with. I have pretty good success with this, where it doesn't really pull up anything, and it gives a good clean tape line as well. Alright, so that the inboard side of the wing is done, just about. So I don't press down hard there, because I don't want to go through. put just the weight of the scalpel on it, and again, a nice sharp scalpel helps there as well. Alright, again, you're not pressing very hard here. So you gotta get anywhere where you don't want white. Again, you don't want to push through where you cut into the paint job. You just, so I'm cutting on top of mask or tape, so you can. I don't recommend doing that on like open bare stuff. You gotta be real careful. You will score it. All right, so that's white, 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 white. That is. Crisp lines really make the model. So again, this is one of those things you should just really take your time doing, making sure you get it right. So I'm actually wearing these are 1.5 glasses I'm wearing to really use as like a magnifying glass. Again, don't use very sticky tape or old tape. The worst thing you can do is put it on and then pull it. Alright, so if you look at it, here we go. It's all taped in. Everything that's not taped will be shot white. So one side is done. We've got to finish up the other side. So the tinfoil is able to wrap most of it around. I run it right on the line. So you miss this line, in this case you'll have black showing through, which you'll definitely pick up on. If anything, if you want to miss a little bit. In this case you cover some of the green. Just saying. And sometimes you miss a spot. Based on the trail edge, is really not going to see it because there's a hinge line in there. But if you see it, you can see where it's got that angle on it. And like I said, I just lay this right down the middle and rip the tape up on it. Okay. All right. Sometimes I'll just use my scalpel to cut this back. And you can just roll the tinfoil as well. So, um, for once the pull-ups happened on the bottom, which usually is not the case for me. It usually happens right on the middle, the top middle of the wing somewhere where you can't miss it. So it's always a little better to have a problem on the bottom. And if anybody tells you they every time they paint a plane they never have a pull-up, they're lying. Just saying. But some probably have less than others, and this, you know, this one's been pretty good. A couple little minor ones here and there, and again, it's really, when using this type of paint that requires a mechanical bond, the surface has to be perfectly clean, otherwise you will have a pull-up. When you use dope or lacquer, you can kind of get away with a little bit more, because that actually is a chemical bond. It melts. The thinner and the dope melts into the last coat. So from a bonding perspective, sometimes dope will bond better, because it's more of a chemical bond. But anytime you're using an automotive type, it is a mechanical bond. So you have to have good surface and some tooth to it sometimes. So, and just, I don't really press the tape down hard, I press the edges down hard. And just getting all little spots. So this is the one thing that, for me, it takes forever, it seems. But if I know when I take the time to do it, it comes out really nice and there's clean lines and there's not overspray, you're cleaning up. You know. Yeah, a little spot. And the other thing, you just want to make sure you don't have tape in the area that's got to get painted. I've done that. Where a little piece of tape come across or something, and if you're painting, oh, what the hell happened there? So not a lot of, what I'll say, exciting stuff, but hopefully I'm giving you guys some tips that'll help you. Okay, let me just check everything. Finish the drawing. So that's that white line. Gold, gold. There might be gold there. Just gotta check the other side with something too. So that's black, right? Yes, black. Okay. white, white, white. Just seeing everything that's going to be white here. Okay. For some reason, I got a little bit more of a paint edge on, just on the root of the wings. So all I got left to do is this wing and the fuse, some of the fuse. I got some of the fuse done already. I gotta just finish up the back checkers and one more flap to tape, and then we can get the shooting white. Alright, I just want to look everything over here. So what I'm going to do is finish the X off down here, so I'm going to even make the trailing edge black here. It's going to be a little tricky, but I got it. Okay. So if you look here, I'm going to have the back, this black ledge reach around to the other side, just because I got a little bit of white there, and you don't really see it, just have it disappear into it. I'll do it on both sides so it looks the same. Alright, let me just mask it off this side. Okay. See, that's how it kind of finishes around, and I'll just finish the other X around there too. Just feel it'll look neater going all the way to the edge with black. And actually. I have another little trick up my sleeve. Just carry that line down. Alright. So what I'll do is I just won't have, it'll carry it around. That'll be black and black. And you won't notice it anyway because the flap will be there. But I just think it's better than have a little bit of white there. And okay, I think everything on this side is good now, right? Yes. Yes. Okay. Just that edge. Alright, and I think that's got everything in there. So we're ready to shoot white on this now. All the edges are taped, yes. Alright, it's ready for white. And I'm gonna go get the fuselage. Oops, just keep the camera. Alright, I'll be right back with the fuse. Alright, so I did some masking off camera last night. I masked the canopy for the white line around the canopy, so that's ready to go. Just gonna, that's probably better. So now we gotta mask this off here and here. So what I'm gonna use is I can use the tinfoil method there, but it's so small. And what I got is some Scotch. What do they call it? Scotch blue sharp lines tape. And this tape is pretty low tack as well. It's like, I think painter's tape or whatever they call it, but and this is about 1.5 inches, I think. But again, pretty low tack, and then for extra insurance you just do that. And what same thing, I'm going to have to trim this a little bit as well. Yeah, I missed a spot. Tiny little spot in the corner here I got to get. And this tape is not very aggressive at all. I put a new scalpel blade in too. Number 11 blade because there's a nice sharp point on it. So hopefully the new camera angle is better. I don't know if it's better. Alright, so there's the first one on. And what I like to do is kind of just work in the close areas off, like I'll work the front of a fuselage. And you can de-stickerize it, or you can just stick it to your table sometimes and go like that. Just to get it to be not sticky. You just want to be careful not to cut through. And try to stick it to itself as much as possible. The back checkers are going to be, they'll take a little bit of time. And it's just small, intricate work. Gonna really just use the weight of the scalpel here. I do not want to cut through the tape below. And if you use a brand new sharp blade, it really helps with that. Oops. A little long, but and you spend a lot of time when you got different colors masking it off. Okay, so the fuse is pretty good now. I do gotta put a little bit over to take apart. I just want that to be green, and just the way it lines up in the wing, it should be green anyway. I flip it over. Could have left these shiny aluminum. I decided to paint them the color of the model. Alright, so now we got everything masked, and the checkers are all masked in the front. They're ready to go. The white striped on the side. Everything else is ready. The USA is on, which is all black. And now we gotta do the fun back here. And that's where it's gonna be fun. Okay. So checkerboards are a pain to do if you have to hand tape them. I mean, in this case, I don't have to hand tape them, but I only have a few to do, so it's really not that hard for me to do. If you had to do a bunch of these, I wouldn't recommend it doing it like this. So I'm just following the green lines. And okay. That's going to be I need to think about that one for a second. So that's good, that's good. extra insurance. So that's kind of what the back rotor looks like. I got all the green covered up. I gotta just mask that, and that. But I want to see what the other side does. Okay. Alright, so this one is interesting. I'll see if I can show it on camera. But this one has a little tail at the bottom of it. You can see that green patch there. So what I did was I saved, if I can find it now, I saved the reverse of that mask just for this reason. And what I'll do is by hand, I'll just put it on and cover it up one spot. Like that would be a real pain to mask by hand. But what I can do is look down it. It's very close, just a little bit off. I just want to get this right here. It's a little bit long. So here's what I'm going to do. Just because I don't want any black sticking through. So just a little bit worried that would stick over me into but black in the seam, which the contrast between white and black would stick right out. So what I'm going to do is I'll just tape this line so it's perfect. So what I'm going to do is carefully, with my scalpel, cut that line. Okay, perfect. Okay, pretty good. So one of the things I do is I let the tape be the edge, so I cut it back on an angle. I'm always trying to let the edge of the tape be the edge, I guess. So you get the cleanest edge. Because when you rip it sometimes, you get little hairs on it and it's not perfectly clean. So you can see. So like what I do is I'll cut it back, I'll get to the edge and cut it back like that. And I'll use the clean edge as the tape. Good. Alright, right on the money there. The other trick I'll do is I'll tape it on both sides like this pointy, pointy rudder, and what I'll do is I'll squeeze the edges down. Same thing here, I'll just squeeze them together. Now I just gotta finish this edge. This is what I want to see how it lines up. Okay. think I got it all back there. That has mask on it. Just gotta get tape on it there. Okay. Okay. I think that's everything. Now I just gotta tape in the areas. Okay. So if you look, white, 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 white. I just gotta tape that edge there before I forget. Oh, and I got a nice little piece of tape here. All right, I think that's everything. And this is ready for white, it looks like. Just taking a once over, making sure everything's stuck down. These checkers in the front are going to be interesting. Alright, so we are ready to shoot white, it looks like. Okay. So, I just have a flap to do, which is only a couple little pieces. Pretty minor. You know what? I'll do it right now. Everything else is masked, and so for this, it really just masking is the green here and the green stripes here. So there's, I'll take off my dull blade here and just clean up if there's any edges on it. Alright, so for this, I just take my 1/4 inch tape. can see it just kind of masked the edges. And this, because this comes to a point, I want to leave the tails of the tape hanging off, so I can stick it to them. So what I'll do is I'll turn it into the leading edge. So this happens to go right into a hinge pocket, which is good. And again, just lay the razor on it right there, and it cuts it right down the middle. Again, sharp razor is the key to all this. Now if you have a flat trailing edge here in the back, you would just do that very similarly. But since I don't, what I do is I just, because it comes to a point, I squeeze it together. Just make sure you squeeze it nice and tight, because you don't want overspray in there. This one's a little bit easier because it goes right into the hinge pocket. Okay. Once I have that, I just take a piece of the yellow tape, I'll line up one edge. And I just cut down it. And then what I'll do is take that cutoff piece, and it happens to, on this plane, happens to fit right there. So it works out perfectly. And the flap's almost ready. That's gold, that stripe. This is black, that's already taped, and I just gotta tape this here. Okay. Actually, I will use the bigger tape here. Not big enough. In actuality, it will work. Look at that. One thing I'll say as you get down towards the end here, this is where you gotta just take a look at everything. Make sure you got it all. If you ever look at my workbench, at the end of it, there's a whole bunch of tape stuck on there. Alright, this is my jig that I hold the flap with. I got a 1/16 piece of plywood screwed down there. And then I also use the flap horn right there. So you can hold your piece. I can actually clamp it to something, shoot one side, clamp it to the other side. But, and that's ready for color. Alright. Alright, so that's what I got for today. I'm going to go get a cup of coffee probably and mix up some white paint and shoot it. I'm going to be using automotive white. I have a bunch of it. Covers pretty good. So I'm going to use that up since there's not a lot of white on it. And I'm not really taping over it at this point. So hope you enjoyed it. I know it's not always the most thrilling thing watching somebody tape some stuff. Hopefully you got something out of it. And so again, if you enjoyed it, click the like button, subscribe. Thanks for watching.